Good morning, everybody on YouTube. Dominic Cortez with you. Another edition of Hammer Time TV coming your way, as well as Hammer Time Radio. Say hello to Mark from USA Insulation.
How you doing, everybody?
Mark Klinger, and we'll be speaking with him live on the air this morning. And Phil Lanilla will join us at 10:30. We'll get an update from him on the pause of electrification and where we are broadcasting from as well. Anthony Verhagen, the manager of the Lakeshore Bank. So lots going on today. We're glad you're being part of our audience, and we're about to begin. Here we go. Yes, it is Hammer Time, and good morning. It's Dominic Cortez. Hammer Time Radio starts right here, right now. And good morning, homeowners, and welcome once again to Hammer Time Radio here on WBEN. Dominic Cortez coming to you live from the Lakeshore Bank at George Urban and Dick, our old neighborhood where we used to actually do our banking. Of course, now we switched to the Clarence branch. And we're glad we're broadcasting. Anthony Verhagen, the manager here, will be joining us a little bit later on in the program. But in the meantime, we need to start with a big round of applause to the judge that saw it fit to put a pause on ridiculousness. And that pause, of course, in the electrification of our state. The January 1 date has been pushed back. How long, we don't know. And whether it's going to resurrect its ugly head, we're pretty much sure that it will. It's just that now we have some time to sort that out. And a big round of applause to that judge and for common sense prevailing, at least for the meantime. So that's what we hope will, of course, be the long-term answer here is common sense, because that's what it's going to take is common sense for people to realize that electrification just isn't going to work. By the way, the town hall meeting has been pushed back because of the pause. We decided to push that back and get some other feedback on where we're going from here on the movement. And then we're going to bring that back once we know that there's a timeline that is going to be implemented. We're pretty sure from everything that I've heard that we're definitely going to see this come back as far as the idea of pushing forward on electrification. I think the pause is very valuable, though, because it hopefully gives us a chance to have the people in power realize that it needs to be tempered and slowed and, some more organized thoughts put forth to implement any kind of idea of electrification. So enough for that for now, but I want to say good morning to one of our sponsors joining us here from the Lakeshore Bank, Mark Klinger, the owner of USA Insulation. Thanks for coming by, Mark.
Good morning, Dominic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's been great having you as a sponsor. We get a lot of people asking, who do you recommend for insulation? And, of course, your name comes up right away as the most dependable, reliable service that you provide with integrity.
I appreciate that, Dominic.
Yeah. So let's talk about USA Insulation. What exactly do you offer in terms of your services?
Sure. Well, whole home, predominantly residential directed, but we are a retrofit residential insulation contractor. So we're looking for homes that were, not new builds, homes that have been in existence for typically from 1980 or back, but even some homes built more recently than that. We're offering full insulation and air sealing services from attic to basement, ventilation services, anything it is to keep the shell of your home tight and keep your house nice and cozy inside.
I just showed you pictures of a family who was suffering from tremendous mold issues based on, some errors in construction, homes sitting too low to the grade, let water soak into the sill plate, which led to rot out the sill plate and decomposition there, and then subsequent mold growth, but also mold in the attic, which leads to the whole question of how important it is, to properly insulate, but people often overlook the importance of ventilation.
Absolutely. One of the first things we do in our whole home assessment or one of our audits is we typically start in the attic. We're looking for proper ventilation at the soffits, ridge vents, at gable vents, but also where are all the penetrations in your house going into?
That's right.
All that air, warm air, particularly from bathroom fans, if they're not, they need to be ventilated outside of your home. And it's amazing how many homes you go into and it's just dumping that warm, moist air into the attic. And warm, moist air means what?
Exactly. It's going to grow into mold.
That's right.
Yeah. Butch, by the way, you mentioned your audit service. Thank you for what you did to help me prove to New York State Electric and Gas at my house that I did not have an energy drain, which is what they said I did. We kind of concluded that it was the smart meter that is showing a lot more consumption at my house.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah. Unfortunately, we found that a handful of times, and you were one of those cases.
Yeah. And there's the jury's still out as to exactly how that's going to shake out as far as whether I need to go back to a legacy meter. The following month, after they replaced the smart meter, showed a little bit of a drop in consumption, but we were out of the AC season by then. So I'm going to have to check this a few more months and see.
Yeah, it's going to have to be more on a rolling average.
Exactly. So when we talk about re-insulation, there's some money that you can get back on credits. Still, those don't expire.
That's right. So there is part of the benefits available for people today that do expire at the end of this year, and that's the federal tax credit. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act that passed earlier this year did away with the residential energy credits for insulation materials. So you do have to get an install done by December 31st, and I still have room to get people done. But I would urge people, if they're interested in taking advantage of that, that's a $1,200, up to a $1,200 credit off your taxes when you file this coming filing season.
So that one expires?
That one expires on December 31st.
Okay.
However, the New York State program does not expire.
Right. Okay. That's what just to get that straight. The New York State side, that combined federal and New York State savings can be substantial, right?
Very substantial, up to 80% for average homeowners. And for folks that, might be on a fixed income or have a larger family in a lower income bracket, they may qualify to get it for free in a lot of cases.
Going back quickly to the whole issue of ventilation, another thing that's often overlooked is the dryer vent.
Yes,
sir. Especially if you have a gas dryer, you could cause a carbon dioxide buildup if a dryer vent is clogged. That's a vital part of your service as well.
It is, absolutely. We're required by the program to check that all of our dryers, whether it's second floor, basement, properly ventilated, and they should have the aluminum hose that
we talk about dryer vents all the time, and it's something that's missing from the code as far as the length and convolutedness of the vent line. Have you seen? I'm sure you see a lot of lines that are just way too long to make sense for proper and effective venting.
Correct. Well, what happens is if it's too long and it's just gathered up, laying on the floor, what happens inevitably is you get lint, things from the dryer that will build up in there. And what's happening? It's preventing all that air from being forced outside, and it's backing back up into your basement.
Right. Once that lint builds up, could lead to blockage, which could then, if in a gas dryer situation, lead to carbon dioxide exposure.
Correct.
So don't miss out on the credits, the federal tax credits. You need to book with USA before the end of the calendar year. You actually get the work done before the end of the calendar.
Get the work done before the end.
So time's really whizzing by here.
That's right.
Yeah.
We can get out to see you here, in the upcoming days, upcoming week, and we have room on the schedule to get you in before the end of the year.
The phone number for USA Insulation is 716-431-4500. Give them a call, and you can get an inspection and take advantage of the rebates that we talked about. Again, the federal tax credit ends 12/31. The work needs to be done before then. Lower energy bills, improve comfort. Drafts are a big way of determining whether you have air leaks. I like to do the candle test, or suggest that people do a candle test around their windows and doors to check where there might be drafts coming in.
For sure. I mean, in other ways, just to literally, a nice clean hand so that nobody gets upset about making dirt. But actually, just taking your hand across the walls in your house, and you can see different temperature just from the feel of it. But obviously, when we come in and take a look at that, we've got thermal imaging cameras that we use that will really show us voids and air penetrations. We do a blower door test, which is going to expose, needless to say, all of your air penetrations, really.
When you are counseling a client on the form of the best approach for their installation, whether it be fiberglass, or do you ever even see cellulose anymore, or spray foam, how do you help guide them on that choice?
Well, it comes down to, in some cases, it's based on what the program will or will not pay for, of course. But they are pretty generous, and they will, in many cases, cover spray foam, which is typically the most expensive of the insulation services that we or anyone else offer. But really, it's what makes the most sense for how the house was constructed. You certainly, when you're dealing with particularly Cape Cod homes, in crawl spaces, you don't want to create an area within a home that's going to, if you insulate it a certain way, it's going to contain warm and moist air, and again, causing potential mold problems. Directing energy in a way that's going to cause ice dams. So it's really about what is fitting for your house.
I always tell listeners that if they have an ice formation on their roof, telltale sign for heat loss and or improper ventilation, they go hand in hand, as we said already.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in the category where you have had ice buildup in the past, a call to USA Insulation may be the first thing you want to do to reduce the formation of ice, so that you don't walk into this new winter coming with that being another issue you have to deal with.
Right, absolutely. I mean, and what comes along with that is, with that buildup, you can have gutter damage, actually structure damage, water coming in through windows and ceilings, and mold from there. Again, another instance that causes mold.
How often do you see mold in the attics?
Unfortunately, more than we really would like. I'd say probably at least 1 out of every 5 homes.
That's a lot.
At least.
That's a lot. That's surprising me, especially when you hear that it happens in new homes, and that the vent lines, the bathroom vent lines, aren't properly installed.
Yes, and that one just seems like such a no-brainer.
Yes.
I mean, you're taking a hot shower and you're pumping that warm,
moist air
right into the attic, and then the condensation builds up. It destroys whatever insulation you have up there, and then causes mold.
And just to give the right direction on how a bathroom vent line should be installed, it's going to depend on where we need to go.
That's right.
Sometimes it may make sense to go straight up,
mm-hmm.
but then it needs a roof boot, and then it needs to have an insulated line that's like a chimney,
mm-hmm.
To go from the fan to the roof boot. I think that's a great way to go about installing a bathroom vent. But again, it depends on how far the distances are.
Yeah. In some cases, there could be vaulted ceilings where a bathroom is that, you're only looking at maybe 10 to 12 inches from the bathroom fan to the ceiling above it. But in a lot of cases, we do have a product that we use that can be installed year round, because it's installed from the inside for people that are not properly ventilating their bathroom fans. We run that directly to the roof, assuming that the roof has the right pitch, has the right accommodations for it. But most homes are built that this product will basically cut a section of the roof out, and it kind of goes in kind of like an umbrella would, kind of goes in, opens up, and then we bolt it down, and it's sealed and secured.
So it's a chimney style with a cone shaped head.
I wouldn't say it's a cone shaped head. It's more like a boot on the outside.
Okay, so it's got a bend to let the moisture come out. And
that's right.
Hit the roof line,
but still keep the water from coming in.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. That's exactly the. In your case, you're saying that would be based on the height from the ceiling to the roof line.
Yeah, Yeah, well, there has to be enough to put a line in between.
Otherwise, of course, the proper installation of a line venting from your ceiling of your bathroom to perhaps a soffit would be another way of going, assuming it's underneath the insulation.
That's right.
Or that is an insulated line running through the attic.
That's right. Well, you see me do some out of that too. You see a lot of that, particularly in homes that are just built on a slab, on a foundation.
Sure.
Where
else you're going to go.
All the mechanicals and everything are in the attic. So.
And the last piece to that puzzle, which this is all important for our listeners to understand, when you're venting out to the soffit, you need to consider how far that is from other things like windows, and also the intake, perhaps, to your heating system.
Of course, yeah. I mean, otherwise you're just sucking in, carbon monoxide air.
Yeah,
it's bad for you.
Okay, again, the phone number for you folks for USA Insulation. Again, they are our Hammer Time partner for insulation. 716-431-4500. Mark Klinger, the owner of the operation. USA Insulation, our Hammer Time partner for insulation services. Thanks for spending some time with us.
My pleasure. It's going to be.
You're off to a football game, I understand.
I am, yes, sir.
Okay.
Our son's playing last college game of the regular season out at Hobart, so playing against Buff State today.
Oh, well, great. Good luck with that, and have safe drive out there.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right.
803-0930. That's the number for you to call this Saturday morning. Anything around the house that needs my attention. 803-0930. Outside Buffalo, 1-800-616-WBEN. The Volkswagen of Orchard Park text board is open and operating. Same as our call-in number, 803-0930. Take advantage of texting us if you'd like. And, of course, we will also be giving you a list of the upcoming Come Home to Cortez cooking classes when we come back. So be sure to stay tuned to WBEN for that. I'll be just coming back right after the break. And Anthony Verhagen will be joining us. We moved him till 11 o'clock so we can spend some time after the bottom of the hour news break with Phil Nanula giving us the update on the electrification pause. And then Anthony Verhagen, the manager of the Depew branch of Lakeshore Bank, will be with us. And we're looking forward to speaking with him about this great little branch here for Lakeshore Bank. Good morning from Dominic Cortez. And before you pick up the hammer, before you pick up the drill, pick up the phone and give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. Okay, we are going to take our break, and we'll be back with more right after this. We've moved him till 11. Sorry.
We're good. Time flies when you're having fun. It's fun, man.
Good seeing you, Mark.
You too,
Thanks for everything.
You bet. Talk soon.
Hey, that's my bad, Jerry. I forgot to tell you that.
Oh, yeah. Let me get some coffee.
You can go. You can go.
This headset's a little noisy. I'm gonna try this one.
Yeah, I saw it. Heard it crackling.
Yeah. I think it's this. Okay, so you're on 2. That's this.
What are we going to have when we come back from this break? What are we going to have time-wise before the bottom? Okay. $10:27 is Hammer Time. Good morning. It's Dominic Cortez. And how are you? 803-0930. That's the number to call. If you'd like to participate in the program, give us your comments about the pause in electrification. I want to remind you our class coming up Monday, the 17th, Braising 101, our Come Home to Cortez cooking class. Braising 101, learn how to make Chianti braised short ribs. That, folks, is Jerry's specialty. Chianti braised short ribs, creamy polenta, and super Tuscan wines. That's this Monday's class, and I do have an opening for you for Monday, the 17th, Braising 101. Now, we're going to get ready for Christmas. A couple things you can do. How about giving the gift of a class? You can do that as well by going to our website, Cortez.net, drop-down menu, Come Home to Cortez Cooking School. You can purchase a gift certificate for a class. And then the December 8th class is Christmas Eve. Getting ready for Christmas Eve. Learn how to make brodetto, which is a seafood soup, fried calamari, and cannelloni. That's the December 8th Christmas Eve class. Those are the classes coming up, folks, in the next couple weeks here. And then, as I mentioned, give the gift of a class by going to Cortez.net and the Come Home to Cortez Cooking School. And you can learn more by checking it out. When we come back after the bottom of the hour, Phil Nanula will join us. And, it's interesting. We're going to talk to him about what's next for him as a home builder. But also, we're going to get into the fallout from the reaction of the pause. It seems like the governor is being squeezed from both sides, heading into 2026. Lawmakers and sponsors of the original bill have accused her of, somewhat succumbing to pressure from the industry to maybe score points ahead of her reelection. So I will get Phil's perspective on all of that and really get into a discussion with him as to exactly what is his next step as a home builder, having had to really come up right here to the 11th hour, literally, on planning for new builds as of January 1 to be 100% electric, which means a different style of construction on levels of insulation and on framing and the whole infrastructure component, not to mention the gas line tap-in and the 100-foot rule. So there's a lot to talk about. We'll get into that right after this. This is Hammer Time Radio. It is the bottom of the hour, and it's time for the top of the news.
Let's see. I don't hear myself.
Oh, I had turned it down.
That would explain why. All right. Sounds clean.
Yeah.
All right. Much better. Much better.
What do you think it was?
I think it's this. All right. Now I'm going to turn you loose.
Okay, buddy.
I'll be back around noon.
Okay. Hey, Jer. Did I record a tip for next week?
We'll talk soon.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were on location. Okay. Well, your heat's been on for a while now. That smell when your furnace kicked on for the first time of the year is in a long time has been a memory perhaps. But now, however, if you haven't addressed what's lurking deep down in your ductworks, the heart and lung of your home's ductwork system could be an unhealthy situation for you. What lurks down in there? Well, the dust mites, dead skin cells, bacteria, mold, dust mite, feces. They've all settled on the heat exchanger of your furnace all summer long. Now, that contamination does burn off, but it could be causing allergies, or worse, if you haven't had your ductwork thoroughly cleaned. There's a review from Google, on Google, 5-star review for indoor air. It's by Chris, and he writes, I've had a problem breathing and coughing, tried many different kinds of medicines. I contacted IAP, and they were so helpful and had such a professional approach. They were super friendly and knowledgeable. They came out and they did the cleaning, and I was amazed. My cough is almost gone, and I can breathe so much easier. Can't believe what came out of my ducts as well. I definitely recommend this company. Peter Gordon from Indoor Professionals joins me on the live line. Good morning, Mr. Gordon. The medical grade air purifier, a game changer In the Cortez household, purifying the bedroom air because we have radiant heat, and Diane loves it for the white noise it provides. Today, the 15th of November, Peter, and Thanksgiving just ahead. What are we doing for our audience? That's a great offer there. Big time savings with a minimum of $125 off duct cleaning and $350 off that medical grade air purifier. Peter, the number 716-683-3000. Extension 303 will drop you into Peter's desk. That's 716-683-3000. Extension 303. Got IAP? Get it today. Yep. Okay. Great. Ten 40 is hammer time. Good morning, it's Dominic. And how are you? 8030930 if you'd like to participate in the program. 1-800-616-WBEN if you're outside Buffalo. And then the Volkswagen and Orchard Park text board, which I have right in front of me, 8030930. We are broadcasting from the Lakeshore Bank at George Urban and Dick, and Anthony Verhagen, the manager, will be joining us after the 11 o'clock news, and we'll get into everything that's going on here at Lakeshore. But in the meantime, let's say good morning to our good friend Phil Nanula from Essex Homes, or from the New York State Builders Association. Philip, I guess we should say congratulations, huh? Yeah. Yeah. So I say congratulations, but I say that tongue in cheek because this is a temporary hold, and it gives us a chance to sort out this mess that we're in. Where do you see it going, Phil? Yeah, right. So let's talk about that because I don't want to glance over the importance of that. The grandfather bill would allow existing streets that have gas line coming down them to always be able to be, regardless of the electrification clauses, those homes that are built on a street after the proposed start date would then still be able to tap in under the grandfather clause. Okay, right. So where do you go on the home builder side of your existence here? Where do you go with the idea of what happens after January 1? We have the pause. I imagine you're going to take advantage of that for booking new sales. But did you have homes on the books ready to start January 1 that were planned to be electric, 100% electric? Right, right. Now, the pause is, as we said, temporary, and it's dependent upon the appeal court that is now that granted the pause, and that appeal is based on the lawsuit that the New York State Builders Association was party to. Explain how that all came together. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's funny, looking at it from that's the court's perspective, but now we're looking at it as well from the political perspective. And it's being said that this is a political ploy, including the governor applying for appealing to the other side, if you will, and when reelection comes her way next November. Right, right. Mm-hmm. Right. 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 Now, with the pause in place, it gives Nick Langworthy a chance to get his federal legislation to move down the pipeline. What impact do you think that might have long term on the whole idea of the stay becoming permanent? Hmm. Right. Right. The effects of the stay related to the actual pushback of the start date, January 1. How was it, Phil, that it was automatic that a stay would be executed on the start date based on the merits of the appeal? Right. So the fact that the appeal, well, the fact that the appeal was granted, what direct impact did that have on uh, on forestalling the January 1 date of electrification? Right. Hmm. Right. So that's how it is explained that the the power of the appeal was to suspend the law that was already in place. Right. Right. Yeah. What troubles me at this point, Phil, is that this is going to become the groundwork for the governor's race, and it's going to become the big political football being tossed about, from one side to the other. It'll be interesting to see what Governor Hochul actually does do and say about this, as to if she's going to continue to appeal to the environmentalists, or is she going to come to a more moderate middle ground? Exactly. Right. 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 So I was just going to say, we decided to push back on the town hall meeting to actually give us a chance to sort all this out as to what the next step's going to be. And it's important that we do mention, Phil, today, that this isn't going to go away very easily. We're going to still have a fight ahead. Right. Exactly. Amen. That's exactly right. Okay, Phil, when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Phil, and we're leading up to the 11 o'clock news. Anthony Verhagen from Lakeshore Bank will be joining us after the 11 o'clock news, but we're back with Phil right after this. Yep. Okay. I got him. Yep. Thanks. $10:54 is Hammer Time. Good morning from Dominic Ortiz, coming to you live from the Lakeshore Bank at George Urban and Dick. Anthony Verhagen, the manager of this branch, will be with us after the 11 o'clock news. We're winding our way to the top of the hour with Phil Nanula from Essex Homes and the New York State Builders Association. Phil, I think the one thing that needs to be emphasized, and National Fuel has been big on this, and that is promoting the all of the above approach to energy. You mentioned that that's kind of a vital component to moving forward and trying to make sense of not putting all our eggs in the basket of electrification. Do you think at the end of the day we might see some balance here with how ridiculous this proposal initially was? Right, right. Of course, still looming over our head is the 70% renewable component by 2030. That's still looming. So who knows what's going to come of that. And also still looming is the fact that we're paying for this electrification now with increased utility consumption, the utility rates. And that's not going to go away either. I think we also need to emphasize, Phil, and we don't enough mention the fact that all of what we've been talking about with this movement towards electrification and the impact that it has on the cost for us to live here in New York State, at the end of the day, we're talking about New York State and its impact on the carbon footprint being 0.04% of the world's carbon footprint impact. So it's minimal as far as the value of going to electrification, and expensive to be able to continue to live in this environment. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right. Now, in the meantime, all of us here who have a lot of stake in New York State being successful, you and I included, with our businesses and our families, what are we to do other than continue to pay the freight on increased utility costs? And this suspension that we're now going to enjoy for the next, hopefully, year or more. What should our listeners do to continue to have their voice be heard? Right. All right. So let's keep the temperature up. Let's keep waving the flag from the mountaintop. You can count on WBEN to continue to do that. And of course, Phil and Nula will be there to help get that message out. I want to thank you, Phil, for spending the time with us. As I mentioned, when we come back, we'll be speaking with Anthony Verhagen, the manager here of the Depew branch of Lakeshore Bank. Stay tuned to Hammer Time Radio here on WBEN. Okay. All right. So what does your wife do?
So she's a medical, like she does a medical liaison at Buffgen and Millard Fillmore.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I forgot what the name of the company is, but she loves it. Her manager's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she enjoys it.
Where do you guys live?
Right on South Youth. You know where North Park is?
Yeah.
Over there. Yep. So
you walk?
Huh?
You
oh, yeah.
walk?
Oh, yeah. The whole area is just super nice.
Yeah.
It's great. The neighborhood's really nice, and our neighbors are phenomenal.
That's great.
We had issues with something got loose, carbon monoxide got a small leak or whatever.
Oh.
Our detectors went off, luckily. And next thing you know, our neighbors were like rushing over because they seen us outside. We had to call the fire department.
Oh,
she
cool.
knew everybody. She's like, it was.
That's great.
All it was like a tube, like the outside piece fell off.
I see.
Nothing crazy though.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, that's
I was
good.
just talking to Mark about having him come and look at a vent for me in my bathroom because I don't have one.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we have to stay on script, but we can talk a little bit about all of the services the bank provides. I know it's mentioned here, home equity. I know we can't talk about rates, but are the rates tempered at all? They've come down at all?
They have come down. We're still aggressive, but
Yeah. Well, that's why that is.
Exactly.
I don't want to say this on camera, but we can talk later about what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Can they hear us though?
This is live on YouTube. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Look what this says here.
Do you have the same one as me? Oh, perfect. Okay.
How would we
could
change?
Skip that. Maybe.
Well, we can say with rates coming down.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on my side, it's on his. I'm gonna have to make sure I bust Adam's chops about it and be like, Adam, it's spring.
Well, this also is wrong here. I mean, you need to say the bank's name has changed. He just took the spring script is what he did. Ah.
Yeah, because I think what it was is that I think he pulled the one instead of the most recent one. Because if anything, we can always just skip like this little. I'm gonna skip this whole little part about that. Just talk about Lakeshore Bank. I should have looked at it before. I could have pulled the other one.
And we are back here, coming to you live from the Lakeshore Bank at George Urban and Dick. And I also want to welcome Wonder Windows to our sponsor lineup. Glad to have Wonder Windows joining the team as a Hammer Time partner. And of course, long-term Hammer Time partner is Lakeshore Bank. And we're coming to you live from the George Urban and Dick branch, our old branch where we used to deal with. And of course, now we switched to the Clarence branch with Christina. But right now, holding down the fort here at George Urban and Dick. Tiny little branch, but a very big, powerful one in the litany of all the branches around West New York is the Depew branch. Anthony Verhagen, the sales manager, the manager here at the Lakeshore Bank. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning, Dominic.
It's great to have you invited us to broadcast from here today.
Absolutely. It's been fun. Everybody's taking it in well and waving and smiling and listening.
That's great. You know, as many of our listeners know, the Depew branch is where we used to bank, and you've done a great job taking the lead here at the Depew branch. As I mentioned, what's switching over to the Clarence branch. There's some changes that are still continuing in the banking market with banks being absorbed. Lakeshore, kind of an institution here in Western New York, been around since 1891. That legacy is something you can really count on.
Absolutely. There are so many benefits. We're a locally operated bank. We understand like the unique needs of Western New York. It's been great. We've been in this region for 134 years. So we understand the diverse needs of our customers better than anyone.
That's absolutely right. Locally operated, and it means a lot to be able to get that in terms of the service provided, the decisions made locally, the mortgage approvals local. You're dealing directly, which kind of takes out a lot of the extra, paperwork and extra time that it might take to get an approval.
Absolutely. So, everything is here, right here in Western New York. We're here, we're the people that work at Lakeshore Bank are your friends, your neighbors. We shop in your stores, and we drive the local economy.
That's exactly well said. It sounds like a good time to consider the switch to Lakeshore Bank, people. If you haven't heard me say it enough, our personalized service that we get from Christina at the Clarence branch and all of my friends at Lakeshore have made that decision a sound one. And if you're thinking of switching banks, this is a good time to do it. And I do recommend you consider Lakeshore Bank.
That's right. With us being around since 1891, why not give Lakeshore Bank a chance?
Why not? It's exactly right. Let's talk for a minute about with rates coming down. I'm sure that's having a positive impact on people considering either a new mortgage or a home equity.
Yeah. Right now we offer a full line of home equity products with options to fit everyone's needs. We have home equity lines of credit, home equity loans. We know that each project has a unique set of circumstances. So if you want to discuss that, you can always give me a call. It is 716-898-2022. We can walk through all of our available options, and you can also visit us at mylsbank.com.
The idea of making the decision to either borrow against your existing home, the equity in your home, or perhaps consider refinancing, that might be coming back as an option now with rates coming down to refinance.
Absolutely. It's definitely a new situation that we're going into, and definitely give me a call. We can discuss those things,
okay,
which is great.
So Anthony Verhagen, again, the George Urban and Dick branch is where we're broadcasting from. We're here till noon. The branch is open till noon. And stop by and say hi if you're driving by. The phone number here, Anthony, again?
716-898-2022, and we are here until noon.
Okay. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much.
All right. The rest of the show, folks, is open phone lines, 803-0930, and outside Buffalo, 1-800-616-WBEN. You can also text me. The Volkswagen of Orchard Park text board is open and operating. 803-0930. And Anthony, before you leave, I have a texter who's asking a question. I have a home worth X that I could put another $150,000 into to get where I want it to be. Would Lakeshore lend that amount for future value after updates?
If you actually want to give me a call at the branch, we could gladly discuss those options with you. Once again, my phone number is 716-898-2022. And I'm available right now to discuss that with you.
The idea there is the future value. Now, while the appraised value would be the driver as to how far you can go on home equity.
we have different products, so it's kind of tough to not know
Sure.
exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So with them giving me a call, we can kind of discuss and see exactly what we could possibly offer.
Okay, so that texter, give Anthony a call, and he can walk you through your options. 898-2022. Again, 803-0930. That's my number. Give me a call right now. Anything around the house. As we take you till noon here, it's Hammer Time Radio on WBEN. Yes, exactly. I'm sorry. I should have explained that. Oh, yeah? Yep. Is are the other callers still on? Okay. Okay. Right. Well, they paused it. Wednesday? Yeah. $11:16 is Hammer Time. It's Dominic, and how are you? 803-0930. That's the number to call or text. As we come to you live from the George Urban and Dick branch of Lakeshore Bank, I was asked to repeat the next class is Monday for our Come Home to Cortez Cooking School. It's November 17th, Braising 101. And if you've ever met Jerry Clemente, our chef, you know that his specialty at his restaurant, Cipollina's, is Chianti braised short ribs. And he does a great job making those. And that is on the menu for Monday. Chianti braised short ribs, creamy polenta, and super Tuscan wines. Braising 101. That class is going to sell out if it hasn't already. So check it out online, cortez.net. And then December 8th is Christmas Eve. Learn how to make brodetto, which is a seafood soup. That is an Italian tradition to have seafood on Christmas Eve. Fried calamari and cannelloni is the dessert for Christmas Eve. And that is what you'll learn how to make on December the 8th with our chef, Jerry Clemente. So the Come Home to Cortez cooking schools all coming up. Also, by the way, on December 15th, we are doing Christmas Day. So there's different menus in the Italian household. Christmas Eve is fish. Christmas Day, pasta al forno and beef cutlets and biscotti. That's the Christmas Day menu, and that's the December 15th class for our Come Home to Cortez cooking school. I forgot to mention Christmas Day is 12:15, and you can check them all out at cortez.net and the Come Home to Cortez cooking school, along with the idea of giving the gift of a cooking class. Very popular gift. How's that sound? 803-0930. That's the number for you to call this Saturday morning or text as we would open the phone lines now to anything that you'd like to talk about. I know we've been spending an inordinate amount of time on the electrification mandate. It's great to be able to have a pause so we can pause that discussion. I know it's important that we, continue the dialogue so as to keep awareness alive. And we will do that, of course. There's certainly important that we follow this along and keep you updated on any changes. And we were excited to hear about the pause. It meant finally, I think, that someone was listening, whether listening directly to us or listening to the temperature across the state on this topic. And really what I think is going to be essential in this time of the pause is that the parties come together and realize that we might have a better approach if we create a more unified system of dealing with this and not make this a political football, which it looks like right now it is going to become one, a political football. And you're going to see Stefanik throwing that ball into Kathy Hochul's face on the gas ban, and that the idea that electrification is not a healthy way to live in a household, and I certainly agree with that. It'll be interesting to see if the governor ever speaks up about it. So far, she's been very quiet, and so that political football, I hope, is not how this is solved. I hope at the end of the day, the parties sit down, as I said, and come up with a more congenial way of dealing with an impossible set of situations that have been really put at our doorstep here. And it really comes down to that, is the sensible approach to solving this problem. And that is my hope for the pause, that we will see that. So with that said, we can move into more kind of appropriate household related issues that you're dealing with, and help you with all of those, as we have done for all these years here on WBEN. So take advantage of that by giving us a call at 803-0930, or perhaps texting as well, same as our call-in number, 803-0930. To the phones we go, and where are we going, Jer? Gordon in Eggesville, good morning. You're on WBEN. Go ahead, Gordon. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. So explain first, Gordon, what the shifting is looking like. Is it tilting? Is the wall tilting? Okay. So it's buckling in the middle. Okay. Now, is he talking about a pilaster built inside the basement, or is he talking about an underpinning? Okay, you might benefit from an underpinning more appropriately. You can check with some of the basement services, basement foundation services, to see if you're a good candidate for an underpinning. An underpinning would be where a pilaster is installed underneath the foundation and helping support and stop the movement of that wall. Now, it is also the chance and possibility that the inward movement is hydrostatically related, which means the ground in the winter months expanding, pushing on the block wall, which may not be related to the footing, and therefore the pilaster idea might be more appropriate in that case. What we see happen often with block walls, Gordon, is that the hydrostatic pressure will pressure the wall to the point of failure, where you get this inward kind of V-like formation that occurs with a crack line going horizontally across the basement wall. Not unusual to see that in a block wall. We see it often. The inwardness, the movement of that inward movement is in some cases more severe than others. And it's good to deal with rectifying that before it gets worse, because it will continue to get worse. Have you noticed this getting worse over time? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah. So again, the whole process here is important to make sure it's done right. What I don't want to have happen is the value of your home being affected by what might look like a Band-Aid with a pilaster holding up, a pushed out wall. So, with that said, we want to make sure this is a certified and approved installation, and that a building permit and engineering drawings are submitted, and engineering drawings and to enable a building permit to be issued, so that you can keep that in your records to show this was all done with an engineer's approval. And that's very important here, Gordon, because without that, it'll look like somebody put a Band-Aid on a problem, and we don't want that, because then that will affect the value of the property. Doing it right will mean cutting the floor at the foundation, and putting in an additional foundation piece to be able to support the structure that's going to be put up against the basement wall. And that structure would have to have some steel in it, and maybe even filled solid, to really do what it's supposed to do, which is imagine you leaning against the wall to help preventing it from moving in. And that's the whole idea of what the pilaster is going to do. So the most valuable advice I can give you is to make sure it's done with an engineer's approval, and that a building permit is issued and it is inspected. The whole idea there is not only to make sure it's done right, but also, as I said, to make sure we preserve the value of the property. Well, there you go. I think that's what we would all like to have happen, right? Is to live comfortably in our homes. My focus here in giving you the advice I did is to make sure it doesn't hurt the value. We need only one. Okay, well, that's good news. So you only have this on one wall. Is it the driveway wall by chance? Okay. Yeah. 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 The other thing, and I'll give you a guess in a minute, but one other question I have for you is the other thing that I would like to know, the back of the house, is there concrete right up against the back of the house? Okay. And how about the downspouts? How are they draining at those two corners? Okay, but do they drain to the ground or do they drain into a system? Yeah. So I think the pilaster is going to be an important step here, another piece to the puzzle here, Gordon, would be to make sure that we don't continue to put hydrostatic pressure on that wall. And what could be leading to it is drainage that is improper and not routing the water well enough away. So while the pilaster will do its job to support the wall, what I want to help you do as well is to minimize it from getting worse. So, uh, so okay, got it. Okay, so as far as my guess goes, I'd say you're looking at I would say somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 for what I think would be the right methodology of what we talked about with the engineered uh, engineering work and the construction of the actual pilaster, somewhere in that window of a cost. So the Kevlar, if you have any water coming in, do you have any water coming in through this crack? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would think there might be value to that for a few reasons. One, again, eliminating any water infiltration, but secondly, preventing any mold growing, which could adversely affect the indoor air quality of the basement, not to mention any mustiness that might come from that. All right. Good. Once you get the estimates, give us a call next week and we can talk about it some more. That's Gordon calling us about pilaster in his basement, and we want to talk to you too. Okay. Let me check the text board. Yeah, I got. $11:36 is Hammer Time, our last half hour here, coming to you live from the Lakeshore Bank at George, Urban, and Dick. Stop in and see Anthony for all your banking needs. And if you're in this neighborhood, it's a great place to bank. I can speak to that firsthand. 803-0930. That's the number to call this Saturday morning. If you'd like to speak to me, I would love to speak to you. As we've got some texters writing. Talking about going all electric, my electric bill lists that 56% of my electricity comes from natural gas. Absolutely true. It is a true piece of the ironic puzzle that we're talking about electrification at the cost of consuming more natural gas. So where are we ahead here? And it's really one of the biggest ironies of this whole story. Another texter. I have a perimeter drain installed along with a sump pit. It's a city house inside my basement at 2017. Does that perimeter drain and pit ever need to be cleaned out, flushed? And if so, how often? Thanks. You are an invaluable resource to our community. Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Yes, the answer is all sump systems should have some degree of attention paid to them to make sure that we're getting the right amount of water flow. And just to explain how a sump system works, water comes in by draining around the foundation. And instead of leaking into the basement, it's then captured by the drain tile and then routed to the sump crock and then pumped out by the sump pump. Now, those drain lines I refer to can be encumbered. I have this problem at home with what's called iron ore. It's in the ground and it gets caught up in to the drain tile lines, and it actually turns into a rock once it mixes with the water in the drain tile. Very difficult to deal with that. I've got to make sure that my lines get cleaned out regularly. That is important because if the lines get blocked, and I have seen this happen, water will then infiltrate, and you'll know that you have a problem if you see a wet spot between the floor and the wall. And if you do see a wet spot and it's just in one area, that's a good chance that it's an indication that you have a blockage right there. Now, what you could do is through the sump crock, you could insert a hose and try to do this yourself. High pressure water might help. But if you're dealing with what I'm dealing with, which is iron ore, that's not going to do it. It needs to actually be kind of roto-rooted out. And a lot of companies might be reluctant that it may be difficult to do that because it might damage the actual drain tile lines. What you could do as well is right where you see the wet spot, if you do have one, you can cut the floor right there and find the drain tile and cut the drain tile open to give you an access point there that you can then turn into a clean out, which is another great point. Having other access points into your drain tile is essential to be able to get to it to clean it, and just to see what's going on with it. So that's a good indicator. If you do have a wet spot, you might have a blockage there. And if that blockage is something you can access by cutting the floor and cleaning it out there, then you've saved yourself a lot of trouble, because otherwise all the drain tile might have to be replaced. And that's a very costly proposition. So yes, being attentive to your drain tile and having it be something that kind of like what we talk about with indoor air and the ductwork in your system, it's an out of sight, out of mind kind of piece to the infrastructure of your home. You shouldn't ignore it. You should pay attention to how well the water's flowing, and a regular flushing out is a good idea. Now, another piece to that storyline and a tip that I want to make sure I add, you don't want any silt that you might clean out of your drain tile to be pumped out by the sump pump, because that could damage your sump pump. You want to use a utility pump to clean out that dirty water, if you will, that you've cleaned out by freeing all the silt, if that's what's in the drain tile. You don't want that to be pumped out by the sump pump, because that could damage, more than likely could damage the sump pump. So be aware of that if you do try to clean out your system yourself. You can hire a pro for this. I think it's a great idea because it's something that needs some extra attention to do it right. When we talk about hiring a pro, I've been wanting to ask you guys this question, and maybe we can end the show on this topic. Have you ever considered hiring a pro to put up Christmas lights? I know it's a growing phenomenon where we're seeing more and more services around the area promoting professionally installed Christmas lights that are, I guess, permanent and maybe stay up year round, and maybe they have the seasonal color changes that you can turn on for 4th of July, red, white, and blue, and orange for Halloween, and then maybe white for Christmas. Had you considered doing that? Hiring a professional holiday decorator can be expensive, I know. And the trade-off is, if you do it yourself, are you risking life and limb by climbing an icy ladder and dealing with having to wire it yourself and string the extension cords and finding the right outlet and making sure it's ground fault protected and all of that? And while hiring a pro might find that those costs are allocated to the first year, you benefit from having them in place for subsequent years. So that's a question I have for you. Had you considered, or would you consider, hiring a professional for your holiday decorating? And I'd like to get some comments on that idea as we wrap up here, coming to you from the Lakeshore Bank here on George Urban and Dick. So jump on the phone or give me a text. Would you consider hiring a professional for your holiday decorating, or have you? And are you glad you did? Give us your comments about that. We'll take our next and last break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up with your comments about holiday decorating lights right after this. Yeah. Right. Right. Exactly. $11:47 is hammer time. Good morning from Dominic Ortiz, coming to you live from the Lakeshore Bank at George Urban and Dick. The Lakeshore Bank here, managed by Anthony Verhagen. Stop by and see Anthony and tell him you heard him on Hammer Time Radio, and he'll take extra special care of you. And I put the question out on the table: would you consider hiring, or have you hired a professional to install your Christmas lights? There's so many things to think about when you consider this topic. I think what I have seen, in some cases, it's a little overdone. When you hire a pro, and obviously they want the look to be uh, significant. So having all of these additional lights that maybe more than you normally would put up might be the consequence. You can always tell, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, a home that's been professionally decorated compared to one that was done by the homeowner. And I like the idea of being ladder safe and electrically safe, but I guess at what cost? And you look at the range of what these costs, they could be substantial. I've heard estimates, as much as 3,000 to 5,000 Yeah, I'd like to know if you've hired a professional. You would hire a professional for most things that involve ladders, right? And this is one that it does involve substantial amount of ladder safety, especially if you have a two-story home. Of course, you could take the shortcut of just putting up spotlights that you plug into, a ground fault outlet. But this idea of professionally installed holiday lights kind of intrigued me. I wondered, what you might have to say about it. And the idea of it being LED as opposed to incandescent, LED lights a little bit generally more easier on the price tag to operate than incandescent lights. Uh, and what would you might do with a professionally decorated lighting landscape? It looks like it was done by a pro, which I guess has a great amount of appeal. But anyway, just wondered if you had any comments about that you might want to share with us this morning as we get ready to wrap things up here. If not, anything around the house. Generally, that needs my attention. I like to speak to you about it by picking up the phone and giving us a call. 803-0930, outside Buffalo, 1-800-616 WBEN. We've enjoyed our time here at Lakeshore Bank. Again, consider Lakeshore for all of your banking needs, whether it might be just checking or savings or a new mortgage, home equity line of credit. Go to Lakeshore Bank and you can learn more, or stop in any of the branches. We're again at the Depew branch, which is at George, Urban, and Dick. Our company deals with the the Clarence branch rather, which is on Transit Road, and Christina Schwendler is our manager there. So a great institution to call Western New York home. And as the banking landscape changes and the local and regional feel of a bank is eliminated from the landscape, this bank is here to show you that indeed they are committed to Western New York and committed to staying put to service you. I also want to thank Mark Klinger for coming in from USA Insulation, and Phil Nanula for keeping us abreast as we will continue to do on the whole idea of what electrification is going to do to the landscape here, if and when that ever happens. And again, the pause has been great to be able to give time for a breather. And the idea here is that the time that we're going to have in the interim, we're hopeful for level minds to prevail and some balance to be the result of a consideration of the whole idea of what putting our eggs in the basket electrification will do to our society, and the cost of homes, the cost of construction, the cost of utility, and all of what we've said. Let's go to Amherst and chat with Rick. Good morning, Rick. You're next. Good. How are you doing, Rick? Yeah. That's interesting because there are, as you've said, a lot of places that advertise. Now, let me ask you this, Rick. If you were to consider hiring a professional to do this, what would you be willing to pay? Yeah. Uh-huh. I think that that's a fair number as well. But I have heard that in some cases that they're far in excess of that. So um, I guess maybe that's the bottom line is what are we willing to pay for this, and how important is it? Now the permanence of it has some appeal, right? Because once they're up, and they use them year after year, and especially if they're LED. You don't have to worry so much about LED lights burning out. So there's some appeal to that idea. So we extrapolate the cost over several years. It starts to maybe make more sense. What do you think? Really? Now, you said they take them down every year. Well, why would they need to do that? Okay, but so they're not meant to be permanent then. Hmm. Well, I'll be darned. I would have thought otherwise. I would have thought that they would have been installed and then would be permanent for years to come. Eh, Yeah. Well, that's the difference. I think maybe it may be related to the cost as well. I'm uncertain as to how that would compare. But thanks for sharing your perspective. All right. Okay, Rick from Amherst. Thanks for that. Yeah, I guess it's all what you want to pay for, right? And if it's worth it for you to install permanent lights and have them be there year after year, that's great. A great idea from that perspective. But who knows if it's a good idea from the cost perspective. Uh, anyway, again, I want to thank everybody here at Lakeshore Bank for inviting us to broadcast from this fine location at George Urban and Dick. We'll look forward to speaking with you next Saturday. We're back in the studio. And we want to also make sure we wish the Bills good luck tomorrow. Go Bills. And have a great week. We're looking forward to our next Saturday's broadcast with you. And always remember that life may be hard by the yard, but by the inch, it's a cinch. Yes. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.